This is like a first-time buyer program. Rates 18%.
The version of me that's paying off this 100K in debt, she actually doesn't see it as debt.
Getting approved is easy. Affording it is a different story, especially when there's no credit involved, and the rate comes back at 18%.
Approved for the 2022 GLE, $7,500 down, the payment's $950. A complete ghost, never even applied for a credit card. This is like a first-time buyer program, rates 18%.
I told them they can refinance.
100% she can refinance. She has to obviously pay her bill on time, and she'll be in a better situation. If she doesn't want to do $7,500, she is approved with $5,000 down. The payment's going to be $999. So $999 or $950.
You can refinance later is what they'll tell you, because it makes a deal easier to say yes to. But that only works if things actually improve. You need on-time payments. Your credit has to get better. And the car can't be too far upside down. If that doesn't happen, nothing changes. You're just sitting in the same loan at the same rate.
Depending if she wants to do $5,500 or $7,500. The reason why it's higher than what she quoted before, she said our co-signer had really good credit, so we're at 18. If she's like, that's too high of a payment, I agree. You're 20 years old, you're buying a $43,000 car, too much of a car. So I would agree with her that her payment's too high. Yeah. What I would do is she says that, let's switch to the less expensive car that we were looking at, so it's a little bit more budget friendly. And then the next time you go to buy a car, then you step up to the bigger car.
At that age, you're probably not really thinking past the approval. You're just thinking about getting the car and getting the deal done. Nobody's sitting there thinking about what it looks like 6 months from now or a year from now. Because once you're actually making that payment, it feels a lot different than it did when you were signing for it.
I was giving you a call because you were interested in my Lexus GS 350. How can I help?
Look up the application to see how everything will come back for the payment, what would be the final price on the car and everything else.
So you're looking to finance?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's do some pre-qualifying questions. First, how is your credit?
It's not the best at all.
Not the best?
No.
Do we know what the number is?
I haven't. No, I don't. I haven't checked it in a while.
You haven't checked your credit in a while?
No, I have not. It's been over 8-9 years ago.
That is a long time to go without checking your credit. Credit doesn't just stay the same when you leave it alone. If you're not actively managing it, it's usually not getting better on its own. So when you finally go look at it again, it's usually worse than you thought.
8-9 years ago. Wow. Okay, so my real question is, how much money down do you have?
Maybe 1,000, 1,500.
1,000 and 1,500. Honestly, Draco, you're gonna need more money down. If you don't know your credit, first thing we got to do is we got to check your credit, okay? But if you haven't done anything about 8 or 9 years, I'm assuming it's not going to be the best, or not updated. So what we need to do is you're probably gonna need to put more money down. And if you only got $1,000, I don't think I can get you done, only because the car is 10 years old.
Right, I understand.
That's not a lot of money to have saved up, especially if you haven't even checked your credit. So you don't really know where you stand going into it. And when you're starting from that position, you don't have much to work with. You're just taking whatever comes back.
Here's what's keeping you broke and invisible. You're operating from the now. You're operating from the past. And you haven't fully embodied the self-concept of your future self. Your future artist, the version of you who is already living that creative life that you so deeply desire. Because really, the thing about desire is your desires desire you back. I'm 100K in debt, but the way I got there wasn't from playing small. It was from operating from the future version of me.
The future version of her might be broke, possibly bankrupt. $100,000 of debt is massive for anyone. And that's something she'll find out later. Hopefully not too late, because there's interest on that debt. And whether you worry about it now or later, it's still going to be there waiting for you.
The one who creates art boldly, who shows up boldly and impacts people in a massive way. But the past versions of me, even the ancestral trauma in my DNA that's inside my body of people that I don't even know, all of them are screaming, this is wrong, be safe, be responsible, you're gonna die. And honestly, they were just trying to protect me. That was my nervous system doing its job.
Basically, she knows she's in trouble, but she's acting like everything will be fine. Like this is just a temporary situation she'll figure out later. Once you start thinking like that, you stop looking at what's actually in front of you. You start looking for ways to make it make sense instead. And that's usually where things get worse, not better.
But the version of me that's paying off this 100K in debt, she actually doesn't see it as debt. She sees it as growth, expansion, initiation, and investment in the life that she came here to live. So if you're beating yourself up for not being further ahead, I want you to ask yourself, am I operating from the past? Am I operating from my current limitations or from the future version of me? who already knows how this movie ends.
The only problem is, it is debt. A whole lot of debt. And it's going to be extremely difficult to pay that back. But she's not really looking at it that way. She's thinking about how it could work out, not whether it actually will. And that's how people end up with debt they can't get out of.
And the bottom of my casket will have a file cabinet for all these student loans to rest in heavenly peace. That's how much I owe in student loans. How much money I owe in student loans. Now let me provide you with some additional information, since I know that this video is going to go viral because people are cruel and a lot of people are going to be ready to attack me in the comments and judge me and do whatever they got to do to feel good about themselves. I am a proud 25-year-old with over $100,000 in student loan debt. I went to school. I got a free associate degree through the early college program. I then furthered my education and got 2 additional degrees.
So many times when I hear people talk about multiple degrees, there seems to be an issue with finding employment. There's always a huge amount of debt, but never any money coming in to pay back the debt. Degrees are great, but if they don't get you ahead, what's the point?
I have a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship with a minor in management, and I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. But one thing America doesn't know about me is that I have 1 additional degree that's not on file and it's not in the records anywhere, and that's a law degree. At any given point, I'm prepared to take the stand and explain why I cannot afford to pay a dime on them student loans. Baby, you ain't never seen a sharp, undegreed attorney like me ever in your life. It's my time to shine.
So she's not going to pay back her student debt. Like, that's just a setting you can turn off. That would be convenient. The only problem is it doesn't work like that. The balance doesn't care what you've decided. It just keeps growing and eventually will catch up.
Paying off debt is really weird, and I'm going to tell you why. Some days I feel so proud of what we've accomplished, and other days the heaviness just kind of hits out of nowhere. My husband and I are paying off over $60,000 of credit card debt. And truthfully, most days I'm happy, I'm excited. We've paid off over $37,000 in 4 months. Something we never thought we could do. We have a plan and we work together and we've really come so far. The weight of the rest of the debt just sneaks up on us.
That's a huge amount to pay back in such a short time. But sometimes it feels like it'll never go away. And looking back at what you spent can make you realize what you gave up because of it and how long it's going to follow you after.
One of us starts, reliving the shame, thinking about the past, what we should have done differently, why we made certain choices. Instead of focusing on how far we've come, we can only see how far we still have to go. And just to get a little more personal, I'm almost 32. I thought I would have kids by now. I thought we'd be in our forever home and more settled than we are. It's very easy to feel behind, to hold the disappointment of expectations that aren't met, some small and some completely heartbreaking and devastating.
Getting into debt is one of my biggest regrets because it took so much time away from me. Years where I could have been saving, money that could have gone towards a home or retirement. It's not fun to look back and think about it. Now I'm spending time trying to catch up, and I'm very happy with how things are going.
Does anybody else remember, when they were back in high school, that everybody's goal for the most part was to make $100,000, and if you made $100,000, you were financially free, or you were doing very well, and you wouldn't really have any problems. You could live comfortably. That was 15 years ago. Now you have to make at least $200,000 to live comfortably.
$200,000 is beyond comfortable for most people. That would be a luxury lifestyle. Of course, it all depends on where you live, but I'm in an extremely expensive country. We pay some of the highest taxes. A regular home costs around $1 million, and food is so expensive here, a lot of people are skipping meals. With $200K, you could still be living a great life.
And buy comfortably, meaning buy things that you want, go shopping here or there when you want, not buy expensive Chanel handbags or expensive jewelry. Just be able to go shopping when you want, be able to get your hair done when you want, get your nails done professionally when you want.
You can do all those things with an average income. It's not always about what you make, but what you do with the income you have. And that took me a long time to realize. It's easy to think you need a higher income first, but most of it comes down to how you're using what you already have.
And go to the grocery store. I remember going to the grocery store even right after college and just throwing whatever I wanted into the cart. When I was growing up with my parents, We just threw whatever we wanted in the cart. No one looked at prices. And now the way America has shifted is so sad to me.
The biggest shift is the way people spend. They spend money they don't have. It's all about debt to get what they want. And they don't save any of the money coming in. Most people don't really have much of a plan. They just hope things will work out. And that rarely works out because nothing is really being built. It's just money going out and nothing staying in.
What is the minimum salary you would need to feel successful today?
Probably 120.
120 would do it for you in today's economy.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I'm at $70,000 a year right now, so a little bit more than that.
So more would be nice.
I'm comfortable. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say about 165,000.
Okay. 160, you're going, I'm comfortable by all standards. I've made it.
Something with six figures.
So at least $100,000.
Right, yeah.
To feel comfortable, to feel successful.
People throw out these high numbers for what they think they need to feel comfortable. And you have to wonder if that's because of debt. It always comes back to income. But if nothing changes in how they handle money, that number doesn't really fix anything.
Right. That's what I'm working towards right now, at least.
200 grand.
$200,000. Anything beneath that, you're like, that's not success.
Correct.
That's a tough life, living on less than $200,000.
50,000.
50 grand would make you feel successful. Okay.
Yeah, where we're at right now in our life, yeah, that would do it.
Are you guys debt free? Is that why you could live off 50?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the lowest number I've heard today. Last person said $200,000.
No, nobody needs that much money.
$50,000 and they could live comfortably, all because they don't have debt. So the money actually goes towards their life, not towards payments. There's nothing already waiting to take it the second it comes in. No minimums, no interest. No constant pressure sitting in the background. That changes how far your income can go and how much control you actually have over it. If you want to see more, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.